And good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's session on sales plans, how to prepare them, and how to profit for them. There's probably no other topic that I come across that causes so much confusion and frustration for both individuals, leaders, and firms. And that is because, firstly, for one of two reasons: either they do not have a sales plan that they work from, or there's confusion of exactly what a sales plan is. It's often confused with that of a business plan, which is an entirely different thing altogether. And I think one of the frustrating things with developing a sales plan is because that the selling of financial services, the business that all of us are in, is an intangible business. You know, there's no inventory to manage, there's no resources, and so forth. And so the sales plan that you need to develop then is entirely different than what you would from a tangible business. So today I want to give you some ideas and tips and techniques to help you not only develop a plan, it's really about executing. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Clifton Warren. I'm the principal of Corporate Eye Consulting. And today we're going to walk you through a framework to help you develop a very effective sales plan. I call it the back of the envelope type of planning. We're going to also look at how to convert your sales plans into measurable goals. We're going to discuss some key metrics that you need to monitor to make sure that your plans stay on track. And finally, we'll finish off on really how to convert this into superior performance results. I mean, unless this is generating results you plan, all bets are off. So I want to show you really how to get this going for your particular business. My colleague, the great Alan Weiss, said, "I've discovered that the failure of strategies is most often not the result of poorly conceived strategies, but rather the result of poor implementation." And that is so true when it comes to sales plans. Sales plans aren't normally poorly conceived, they just cannot be executed. I've had executives and leaders come in with big, huge 150-page documents, put them on my desk and say, we're having trouble implementing this. And the fact is, you can't implement 150 pages worth of stuff. You can implement the ideas and actions from there and so forth. So I want to simplify the sales planning process for you and basically show you how to build an effective sales plan. There are 6 steps in a sales plan. And I like to call this the back of an envelope because this can be done on a piece of paper, on an envelope, or at most a couple of pages. 6 parts. First part is asking yourself, what is our mission? Number 2, what is our vision? What is our desired future profile? What is our position? What is our competitive advantage? And what are our priorities? So these are the 6 planning questions. I'm going to look at each one of these individually. The first one is your mission, and your mission explains why your business is unique. And here's some sample wording you can consider using. So our mission, in this case, I'm using an insurance example. We have a variety of firms and industries on this webinar, but I'm using an example of an insurance one. We are an insurance firm offering a broad range of risk management solutions and products to clients in the building, construction, and trades industry. So that explains quite succinctly why your business is unique. Question number 2, your vision. Your vision states what you must become. And in this particular case, sample wording is our vision. Our primary drive is seeking new clients from our current solutions and products in our current targeted industries. Once again, very clear, not a lot of words, but just a paragraph on your vision, which is really stating again what your business must become. Step number 3 in the process, which is stating your desired future. Your desired future profile. And basically what we're saying here is who will you accept as a client and who will you not accept as a client. So continuing with our example wording here, our desired future profile, we seek new clients who have needs within the scope of our solutions and products and the following characteristics. Clones of our best clients, they're within our targeted markets. And finally, we will not accept new clients that fall beyond our scope or provide us with undue risk. So those are nice, clean statements again. Now, with all of these, you need to take the words and put them into your words to fit your particular business. Oops, I've gone too far here. The next step, your positioning. And this really outlines how you want to be known. And some words again, positioning. We want to be known as a firm that provides practical solutions to the current insurance and risk management problems faced by business owners or directors or wherever your industry may be. But your positioning outlines how you want to be known in your market, in your niche, or in your community. Your competitive advantage. How are you different from your competitors? And once again, our competitive advantage in the marketplace. Our competitive advantage is and will be our willingness and ability to convert concepts into practical actions and tools and to convey our capabilities in exciting ways. And finally, the last step is your growth strategies and your growth mix. And there are 4 different strategies for achieving growth in your business. The first one is penetration, and that's really you want to penetrate your existing niche market or existing markets that you are already in. Innovation refers to creating new products and services and building on to additional markets. The expansion refers to expanding your current footprint, building up a new niche market, expanding your presence into related markets. And retention refers to retaining your most desirable clients, the ones you cannot afford to lose. So that's usually going to be your top 5% of clients. So in this particular mix, on this particular example here, when you list your growth strategy mix, you want to list the percentages that you want to dedicate your time and resources to. So in this particular example here, penetration of expanding current products in existing markets is about 50% of the time, marketing time, you want to devote to that. And so you want to play around the mixes on there, but you want to be able to accurately write them down, the percentages you're going to dedicate your time and resources to. So your strategy is a framework to help you guide your decision making. With your business. And when you have this in writing, that makes the job so much easier. Now, one question I often receive is that, retention, only 20%. Well, don't forget, we're talking about retaining your top, most desirable clients. And if you have to devote more than 20% of your time to it or 100% of your time to that, you probably have servicing issues, other issues within the business. But in the most top performing firms, they dedicate out 20% of their business development time to their existing clients to generate referrals and introductions and so forth. We'll come back to this a little bit later. But this is a strategic, these are the 6 steps to an effective sales plan. And at most, this should take up a page, maybe a page and a half, tops 2 pages. That's it. Forget everything else that you have in your plans. If you learn nothing else from this webinar today, is stop making complicated plans. Instead, keep them simple to 1 or 2 pages. Matter of fact, a lot of this can be done on a back of an envelope or just 1 sheet of paper. It's easy to communicate to your team. It's easy to show to your partners. It's easy to show to your alliance partners and your suppliers, the direction that your business is going. And when you have this written down, it's clear and it's easy to follow. And just touching on mission and vision and so forth, which is the first part of your plan, the first 2 points of your plan. I walk into a lot of places that have their mission statement on the wall there and the vision statement maybe attached to that. That means absolutely nothing. So by at least having it all in one simple document, everyone can understand the direction the business is going and what you're hoping to achieve with it. The next step is after you've developed this plan into an easy process. Remember, a page tops 2 pages long. The next step is be able to convert these plans into measurable goals. You cannot execute a plan. You can only execute the actions on there, but first get clear on what we're trying to implement, what we're trying to execute. Great quote by Peter Drucker here. What are my goals and what should they be? So this is going to be an evolving process. It's not something you do once and forget about. It's annually. It's every 6 months when you're reviewing your plans, as you're reviewing your developments. Your goals are going to adjust along the way, and so they should. First step is to define the objectives. And your objectives are nothing more than action commitments that provide you with the direction, the momentum that you want within your business. So there are 6 strategic objectives. And let me just run through these. Sorry, there are 7 of these. Let me just run through these. The first one is strategic. Your strategic objectives focus on what's happening in the business over the next 3 to 5 years. So it's looking at the future of the business. When I was managing and running teams and managing financial services businesses, the staff that I had on my payroll, the staff that worked for me, their job, the reason why they're on the payroll was to achieve the objective for this year, for 12 months. My job and the job of my leadership team was to look at year 2 and 3, look outwards for that. So that's what the strategic objective is. Your operating objective focus on making sure you have the resources and tools to be able to manage the business on a day-to-day basis. And that includes training and so forth of your staff. Client-related objectives is make sure that you're able to commit to whatever percentage to look after your top clients as far as retention. All the tools are in place. Any other resources you need to manage the client relations. The fourth one, financial. This relates to the financial health of the business, of making sure you're pursuing the right markets, have the right ratios. And I'm going to speak about metrics shortly, but it's making sure you have all those parts in place. Number 5 is your industry niche objectives. And this is asking yourself, are we in the right niche markets? Are we operating in the right niche markets? Do we need to abandon some markets? Are there new markets we need to acquire? In the markets that we are operating in, are we penetrating those as best we can? Do we need to be doing anything differently? Personal, that's an interesting one. And personal, it relates to the individual. And your team. So for instance, if you have someone that's just making the transition from back office to the field. So for instance, someone might have been handling claims or doing another role within your business, and now you've brought them in to handle client related issues or generating revenue or business development. Do they have the temperament? Do they have the skills to be able to do that? What training and resources that they need to be able to achieve that? And finally, staff. Do you have the right staff in place? Do you have the right, do they need additional training, equipment, resources to help fulfill the things you've outlined in the framework of your sales plan? So those are the objectives, which are nothing more than action commitments. Now, top performers that are producing superior results, they choose no more than a handful of objectives. So I recommend no more than 3 to 4 objectives that you can focus on for this year, because this really changes and shapes the direction of your business. And so choose just a handful and work with those. Make sure they are congruent with your sales plan that you've outlined, the 6 steps earlier along the way. After your objectives are action commitments, And your objective is going to fall into two kind of ways. So when we're going back here looking at what sort of objectives should I choose out of the 7 here, and out of the 7, by the way, there's a whole list of sub goals and sub questions to ask yourself. But out of the 2 fall in 2 categories. One's going to be required or desired. So required is for survival. So things like obtaining new clients, maintaining retention and revenue sources, that's required for the survival of the firm or your business. The other side is desire. These are very important. These are nice to haves, but very important for the business. And there's also ones that are not so important. So when you're choosing your objectives between required and desire, you want to firstly make sure you've ticked off the things that are required for survival of the business. So out of those 7. And secondly, when you look at the things that you're nice to have, choose the ones that are only very important to help you achieve your sales plan along the way. All right. So that's how you get down to choosing just 5, 6 objectives you're going to focus on. They're either going to be required for survival or desired, very important. And finally, when you're establishing your objectives, these need to be converted into goals. This is what the term we use, where the rubber meets the road. This is how you start to create measurable progress and results. And so you need to convert your objectives into goals. And the goals should be realistic goals that allow you to achieve 3 things. Firstly, they should allow you to work from your comfort zone. So it's no good selecting a goal, for instance, of trying to reinvent your business. I'll use myself as an example. If I specialize in financial services, that's banking, insurance, and finance, it would be silly of me to, well, not silly, but if I decided to all of a sudden start to specialize in the aerospace industry, that's going to be outside my comfort zone. And the time and resources it's going to take for me to get up to speed in the industry, build contacts, and market myself, it's going to be outside my comfort zone. I'm going to be frustrated and probably abandon the whole project. Same with your goals in your own business. Make sure to allow you to work from where you are now. They might stretch you a bit, allow you to work from your comfort zone, because if you were able to work from your comfort zone, you're more likely to pursue these. You're more likely to maintain the focus it is to achieve. The second thing is with your realistic goals, they allow you to provide wins early. It allows you to achieve some early success. Early success might be someone being able to return your phone call, or if you make contact with someone, you're able to gain an appointment. Those are what I call early wins. And that's important. So when you set your goals, comfort zone, early wins, that gives you the motivation to keep going because you think, wow, this is easy. This makes it work. And finally, it allows you to achieve success in bits and pieces. There are some things that are just complex, and you may need to break the goals down into subparts. So for example, you are pursuing some new markets, brand new niche markets. You need to research those markets. You need to identify key players in that marketplace. You need to identify some hot button needs. You need to identify some centers of influence or referral sources among your clients. Those are all steps within really building up a niche market along the way. By breaking those down, you can achieve success in bits and pieces and still achieve the ultimate goal. So just being able to identify the hot button needs in a particular niche market that you are interested in, you have the passion and experience and the capabilities, that allows you to achieve bits and pieces, and you're likely to keep going. Once again, it's probably in your comfort zone, you're hitting some early wins, and you keep momentum going along the way. Very important. So establish realistic, achievable, results-based goals, and that's the road to achieving measurable progress. Now, something that's not often discussed is monitoring what I call performance metrics. And this is essential to see if your plans are on track or off track, if your goals and objectives are aligned or, don't make sense at all. So you want to identify the key metrics, performance metrics for your business. For most financial services businesses, there are 5 key metrics that I work with clients with. I'll run through them and I'll show you how I use these. Firstly is your new business growth. This is really just the percentage of growth from the previous year to this year. What is that? And that's expressed in a percentage basis. Your organic growth is growth that you've achieved minus acquired revenues. What do you mean by acquired revenues? If you have purchased a business during the year, that's acquired revenue. Organic growth is everything that is growth minus acquired revenues, the business that you've acquired, blocks of business you've acquired. Production efficiency. This relates to the amount of face-to-face time, how effective your producers are, how effective your team is, how effective you are in getting out and spending time in the field, in the market, in your marketplace. The number I use is there's a magic number called 12. So in other words, 12% of your work week, assume a 40-hour week, top performers to have 12% of work week face-to-face engaged with prospective clients, existing clients, or referral sources, what I call sales-related activities. If that number falls below 12, you start to see inefficiencies develop. So I've gone into firms and they've said, look, things aren't working too well for us. And I've looked at the production efficiency and it's down to like 2, 3. In other words, they're spending 3% of their work week only on sales-related activities. The rest of the time spending on servicing and doing lots of other things. So you want to measure the production efficiency and track that. Revenue per employee. This is a great measure because you want to be able to track. You can have a lot of things working for your business, but if your revenue per employee is dropping, that's an indicator that some changes need to be made. And finally, your total growth is just that's everything. Organic growth, acquired growth, new business growth. What is the total percentage of that? So these are the 5 metrics that I generally use with a financial services client, individual, firm, or leader. And when I lay these out, we're looking at these over a 3-year time span. 3 years is a decent amount of time to detect a trend. 1 year is not enough because things can happen in a year and you have no context to measure things with. When I look at it over a 3-year period, we can now detect a trend if something's dropping, increasing, etc. And the other thing I like to do this with my coaching clients straight away, is that we look at the performance metrics over a 3-year period. Right away, we can identify the growth story. So what I mean by your growth story? So let's say your total growth has been declining over the last, it's been steady decline over the last 3 years. Chances are that's probably related to lack of new business growth. And lack of new business growth is partly related to the organic growth. You're not getting the upsell or cross-sell opportunities from your existing client base, and thus not getting referrals, and therefore you're not able to acquire new business. And if I look further along that with that number, is probably your production efficiency has probably been declining steadily over the last 3 years. Things happen in the business. You're spending more time on servicing issues. You've had a key account that's taken up majority of your time. You lost a key account that's taking your time, or there's been personal issues you've had to attend to that's not allowed you to focus on business development activities as much as you'd like. And of course, that's impacted the revenue per employee and end up with total growth. So therefore, when I look at the performance metrics of a business like this, we can quickly develop the growth story and the causes behind it, and then go back to your original plan that we looked at 6 steps there and reset in the areas. Then we can look at the objectives and adjust and reset the objectives and goals and so forth. So performance metrics are essential. I do encourage you to start to track yours. Take these 5 areas there over a 3-year period and get the numbers. and just start to follow those and monitor these. You only have to monitor them maybe quarterly, because it takes a while for trends to start to develop. But certainly at the end of the year, during your planning process, I would have these in front of me when you're writing your new plan. If you have a team, when you're with your team, I'm having these with my objectives, just so you get a total understanding of what exactly is happening in the business and what we should be doing in the future. Remember, your strategy, your sales plans is a framework for decision making. And when you have the right metrics and tools in place, you can now make the decisions you need to make. But if you don't have anything, it's really hard to make the decisions. And unfortunately, for a lot of firms, sadly, even from the most biggest and sophisticated companies out there, their sales plan involves nothing more than taking last year's number and just adding a little bit to it and going after this year. And they wonder why they sometimes run into trouble. So don't make that mistake. Measure, measure, measure. Use that as a decision making to adjust your framework and propel your business forward. Okay, so that's the first part we've covered is formulating your plans. And remember, plans do not fail because they're poorly conceived. They usually fail or do not live up to expectations because they're not executed. So the first part we dealt with formulating your plans, that simple framework. It should be no more than a couple of pages. I prefer a page. Choosing the right objectives, and you're ready to go. So now let's talk about execution. How do you execute your plans? One thing top performers do more than anyone else is that they have the ability to hold their people accountable. They have the ability to create a culture of accountability that leaves everyone, doesn't leave anyone wondering. I once worked for, I heard a president, I worked for this guy, he's the president of an insurance company. He looked at me one day, he says, you'll never die wondering around here. And what he meant by that is that the plans and everything was articulated so well, and the culture of accountability there, everyone knew exactly what they're supposed to do and why they're on the payroll. So first part of executing your plans is the building that culture of accountability. And there are 7 things that need to be done to develop a culture of accountability. The first one, and probably the most important one of all, we talk about sales plans failing because they're poorly executed. The cause of poor execution is that no one has ownership of sales leadership. Now, sales leadership is not sales management. It doesn't mean you're micromanaging someone. But sales leadership is that you're providing the direction. You're identifying talent. You're conceiving the plans and communicating your plan to everyone around the business. Someone needs to own sales leadership. It does not necessarily mean the managing director or the CEO, but it does require someone to be senior enough that has the authority that's been given to them by the board, the managing director or CEO, so that they can properly act in the role of sales leadership. But it does not need to be a full-time role either. But someone needs to own sales leadership and the process and the sales plan. Step number 2, sales plans for individuals. Just like we talked about the framework, we spoke about the framework earlier regarding the sales plan for individual, for the company, for the firm. You also need a sales plan for each individual that has responsibility for producing revenue. And it can follow the same 6 steps that we outlined earlier. They can have their personal mission, their personal vision, and the types of clients and everything they want to go after. And obviously their growth mix. Their plans need to tie in with the overall direction. And so they know exactly where the company's going as far as the strategic plan, your 2-page plan. And they know the role that they fit in within those plans because they develop their own. They know what they're contributing, what they need to contribute, what the growth mix is. And it also makes it easy for you to manage. Remember, we can't execute a sales plan. We can execute the actions on there. And so when you have a plan that someone is put in place, it's easy to help manage and provide the help that they need. Thirdly, you want to measure what you want managed. Now, those 5 ratios are not a bad place to start as far as managing things you want, measuring things you want managed. You want to be able to find the ratios that are important to you. You could use those 5. That's a great start. And that might be all you need. There might be other aspects that are unique to your particular business or your particular industry. So mortgage providers, for instance, have some other ratios that they might use, origination and so forth. But you want to find those measures. You want to measure what you want managed. Because if you don't manage it, then it's not going to be important to you or to the other individuals on your team. And then you want to manage what you measure. So if the ratios start to go south, you want to go in quickly to find out why. And that's what I spoke about earlier about the sales story around the 5 metrics. But it could apply to any one measure. So if someone's production efficiency has dropped from a 12, I'll just go back for a second here. If that production efficiency has dropped from a 12 to a 4, you want to be able to manage that earlier rather than later. So you want to be able to go in and find out what is going on there. Have they been given too much? Are there some problem cases is their workload too big? Is their portfolio too big? Do you need to divide up their portfolio? Are they spending too much time on servicing issues? Whatever, but you need to manage what you measure. Provide help where needed. Essential. There's going to be times when someone's run off the rails for various reasons. There could be personal issues at home. There could be problems with the territory. There could be they don't have the right capabilities for the role or parts of it. They don't have enough technical knowledge to do the role they need to do. But as the leader, you need to step in and provide the help where needed. That's why someone needs to own sales leadership, step number 1. This also works in the positive effect too. It's not always a negative. So the positive area where this plays out is when you have a big deal that you're trying to close and that person needs some help. Recently, at a large international brokerage house, insurance brokerage house, they had this salesperson there, just started, and she stumbled upon a whale. In other words, a key account. It just happens. Sometimes you're in right place, right time. This is what happened to her. She recognized she did not have the capabilities to close the deal, which was going to be significant in terms of revenue for the company. Her sales leader, top guy, recognized it, stepped in, and brought in some additional help. And they closed the deal in a few weeks. And once again, it was a substantial amount of money in terms of revenue for the client. Great deal for her. She learned a lot. And everyone's much better for the exercise. And that's an example of providing help where needed on a positive basis. And that's why someone needs to own sales leadership, to recognize these indicators, to be able to take action when something goes astray, or you have a positive indicator along the way. I gave an example. I was talking to a group in New Zealand, and New Zealanders are keen trout fishermen. And I'm a trout fisherman myself. And providing help where needed is a good example of when you cast your fly out in the water, you're really looking for indicators that there's fish on there. But sometimes you might need some help with actually landing the fish. In my case, it's quite often I need help landing the fish. But nevertheless, it's being able to be there, spot that from above, and go in there quickly. The 6 areas: have the courage to act. This is a tough one for a lot of people. I've struggled with this in the past. You have someone that's not working out in the role. And you know what? You might have a company philosophy. You might have a belief we don't let anyone go, or we'll give them more time. Um, I've had one client in my mentoring program that was actually subsidizing some of his employees out of his own pocket because he believed he shouldn't let anyone go, but yet this person simply was dragging the ratios were falling backwards because of this one individual. So you got to have the courage to act. And the courage to act doesn't mean you're actually going to fire someone, but and I've had to do this. I've said to someone, the role that you're in, I promoted someone up to a role. They thought they could do it. I looked at them, I thought they had the capabilities to do it. After a few months, it turned out that they weren't really suited for the role. So I had to go back and say to this person, well, I'm going to give you a choice here. This role is not working out for you. You can go back to your previous position, and I'm more than happy to provide you with some additional training. And perhaps in 6 to 12 months' time, we can take and relook at the position again. And if it's right, we can bring you back up. And fortunately, this person did go back to a previous role and did a great job. And eventually, they wind up in sales, 2 or 3 years later on. But you need to have the courage to act in your business. You cannot let things brew too long. And this is a sales and marketing business, financial services. The sole reason for your business is to market and sell and retain clients. And so you have 4 or 5 key sales results that need to be achieved to maintain the growth of your business and protect the value of your business. And so sometimes you're going to have to make tough decisions, but it's much easier to have the courage to act if you have the ratios, if someone owns sales leadership. And finally, number 7 is getting everyone going in the same direction. When you've taken the time to develop your sales plan, a couple pages, selected the objectives, and it's written, now you can articulate that to each individual, either separately or in a group. You can then help each individual prepare their own individual plan for the area of their responsibility that's going to help the organization achieve its overall goals. That's getting everyone going in the same direction. Everyone's excited and happy. And you see this in some companies right now, a lot of companies right now. For instance, Apple. You walk into an Apple store, everyone's happy. They know the role they play. Funny enough with Apple, you can't tell who's the boss because they all wear the same t-shirts. But everyone understands the role they play and what their job is. If you're in the United States, fly Southwest Airlines. They certainly know that. Virgin America and even Virgin Australia have a similar sort of culture and philosophy. Everyone knows the role they play and where they're going. Everyone's going in the same direction to get the business going along the way there. You can do the same in your business. And when it works, everything just hums along. Opportunities come your way. Everyone knows what needs to be done. But more importantly, we have everyone going in the same direction. That frees you up as a leader to be able to focus on things you need to be focusing on. Because you're taking the time to articulate your plans, you're taking the time to select the right objectives, and more importantly, making sure the tools and resources are there along the way. So those are the 7 best practices to build a culture of accountability. And that's the hallmark of top performers. That is something they do better than anyone else. They create that level of expectation. They're able to raise the bar. Okay, so the final step I want to give you now is really the switch on how to convert these plans into tangible results. Because, as I said, a plan is just a plan. It means nothing until you can convert that into revenue or into opportunities. And so I want to give you 5 techniques now on how to take what we've just shown and convert this into some hardcore results quickly for your business. Number 1, you need to provide training. You need to provide 2 types of training: technical and sales capability. Okay? This is a sales business. I know Some of you don't like to use that word. Certain sectors don't like to use that word, but we can call it whatever you call it like. But at the end of the day, it's a sales business to get more people to using your products and services or solutions. So you need to provide the sales training. I have a rule that I use. It's called the 95-5 rule. And it basically says you basically need to have 95% people skills and 5% technical knowledge, technical skills. However, the secret is in that 5%, you need to know 100% of that 5% or as close as possible. So what I'm saying is that we often overstate the technical side of the skills that we need. And really that should be reversed around. You don't need as many technical skills you have. Well, the problem, the challenge you have is having the right sales skills. So think of the 95-5 rule, but regardless, you need to provide technical training and sales training to give your people the total resources that they need to run your business and produce results. Secondly, actively manage your sales pipeline. And that's going to involve using, firstly, having using a CRM system, contact management system, or customer relationship management system. It can be done on a spreadsheet. It can be done on a piece of paper. But you need to have a process in place where you can track your leads, your opportunities, clients in your pipeline. In other words, who's being presented to, who needs a follow-up, who's at the closing stage, who are we preparing solutions for, how many proposals we have out there. All those things need to be tracked, both for yourself and for everyone across the business. And once a week, maximum, at least once a week, reviewing that, at the most bi-weekly, but I wouldn't leave no more than 2 weeks. You need to be actively managing your sales pipeline and discussing with the individual, either individually or as a group, where are we at with this person? Why is this person still at stage 2? You prepared the proposal for this 6 months ago. When are we going to close the business? So you got to actively manage your sales pipeline to both weed out junk, but also make sure that there's any help that's needed. Because remember what I said here, providing help where needed. Sometimes people get stuck. And when you actively manage the sales pipeline, you can quickly work out if someone is stuck. Is it a technical issue? Is it a sales issue? Is it a behavioral issue? Is it a personal issue? Whatever it is, you can deal with it if you're actively managing your sales pipeline on a regular basis. Number 3, this is something that's terribly neglected. I'm actually very surprised at this. It's building a strong brand, a powerful brand. And I see too many professionals that really are nothing more than a collection of individuals that operate under a common name, and their brand is the product that they're selling from the underwriter or from their wealth platform provider. You want to build a strong brand for your business. You want to build a strong individual brand, and you want to build a strong brand for your business. By the way, the most powerful brand you can have is your name. And guys like Jim Hansberger, for instance, who's ranked one of the top financial advisors in the world, has one of the strongest brand names that I've ever seen in the financial services industry. So you want to develop a very, very strong and powerful brand individually and for your company. So if you manage several producers or business developers in your business, if you get 2 or 3 of those to develop very strong, powerful brands, your company's going to have a strong brand name. And the reason why the two go hand in hand, because occasionally, and I've done this myself when I was recruiting people, recruiting top talent for my team, I'll pick the individual with a strong brand from a competitor because I know they're going to bring over business with them. And the same happens the other way around. But the same token, you also want to build the brand of your particular entity and your business within your community, within your suppliers, within your niche marketplace. And so take whatever time is necessary to build those strong brands. That means more than just a logo. It means thought leadership. It means your positioning. It means the things that we talked about in the strategic plan. You know, how you want to position in the market. Who do you want to be known by? What niche market you're going after? That's all contributes to building a very powerful brand for you and your business. Fourthly, you want to use cross-selling and referrals and introductions to fuel your sales pipeline. Financial services is not a cold calling business. It's a terrible way to make a living. Sometimes it needs to be done. And I actually do teach a program on how to warm up cold calls. But when I use the word cold calling, just taking names out of a directory or buying a mailing list is a terrible way to market yourself. You want to instead use cross-selling. That means you want to be able to go to your top 20% clients and talk to them about your value and look for ways to enhance value to them. So selling more to your existing clients. You also want to use your top clients to obtain referrals and clones to your best clients, and use your centers of influences to provide introductions to prospective clients. That is a much more effective way to market your products and services in your marketplace than any other means. Matter of fact, if you can master cross-selling, referrals, and introductions, you'll never have to do advertising. You'll never have to do anything like that because you're dealing with your proprietary marketing base that will pay you tremendous dividends. Matter of fact, I have seen firms, I've seen individuals build a very strong brand and have mastered using cross-selling and referrals that they've sold their business. And after they finish the obligations after the sale, they've gone on and started new businesses, either directly or indirectly as an investor, and those businesses have developed. The reason why? They knew how to build a stronger brand. They knew how to leverage their existing clients to obtain new ones through referrals and introductions. And the fifth area is create a unique sales process. This is absolutely gold. Your unique sales process, this is your blueprint, your step-by-step process on how you acquire, retain, and develop clients. And this should be mapped out each step along the way. And when I say it's unique, because everyone does this slightly differently. So in other words, I can show you a sample blueprint of a unique sales process, but when we sit down and work together, we'll customize it to fit your particular business. When you have this is very powerful for a few reasons. Number one, it's very easy to train your staff on the process. So you have new people coming on board, you're onboarding someone or moving someone up into sales. You can show them the process and steps. It's also the way you actively manage your pipeline, because the process has a number of steps to it. This process is mirrored in your sales pipeline. So you have step 1, step 2, steps 3, and so forth. You know where things are in the business. And thirdly, it frees you up, because you can then turn to your staff at your meetings and say, okay, here's our pipeline. You know where we're on the process. Can you take care of this for me? Can you take care of step 3 for me? Can you take a step 4? And more importantly, the most importantly is I can use this in the sales meetings and discussions. So when you're sitting with a prospective client, and you could turn and say to them and says, Mr. Client, after you come on board with us and we're working together, let me show you what our relationship is going to look like. And now I bring up my sales process, all 6 steps, and say, this is how we're going to work together over the next 12, 18 months. Very powerful. That can help you close more sales, and it's something that top producers do on a regular basis. So having a unique sales process, by the way, helps you build a strong brand. It assists you with cross-selling, helps you manage your sales pipeline, and provides training. That's really how you start to convert your plans into results along the way. So that's how you implement what we've talked about today into results, because the plans are worthless unless they're converted into results. So let me talk about how I can help you right now. For those of you that are registered for this webinar and participating in this webinar, Firstly, you're going to get a copy of the recording and a copy of the slides. So firstly, I'm offering to review your sales plan execution review. And basically what we'll do is that you show me your sales plan. It could be on a piece of paper, a napkin, whatever you've written it on, 150 pages. Schedule time, we'll have a phone call. I will help you identify what objectives you should be focusing on, firstly. Number two, I will help you compare your capabilities with the best practices as top performers and help you determine where you're ranking and where your shortfall is, and what you need to do. And thirdly, I'll help you develop a prioritized execution list, so you can turn your results around and get your plan executed along the way. This is the free review. So either respond to follow up, I'll follow up with you, or call me, and we can schedule time, and it doesn't take long. We can look at it and maybe even look at your sales story, and you'll have something you can take away and execute within your business, and hopefully get some immediate results along the way. I have some additional resources too I want to just talk about. Connect with me, by the way, on LinkedIn, or I have a blog. On my website, I have a blog. I have a number of articles that are all free. I have a monthly newsletter you can sign up for. That is free. I have a couple of white papers and publications. They are free. So I got a lot of free resources there. I have paid resources too, but I have some free resources there you can take away immediately, and hopefully put to use. That will give you some ideas along the way there. If you'd like to have a further conversation about the needs of your organization, either for me to come and speak to your sales meeting, or just bounce some ideas on how you can really raise the bar and move your business forward, connect with me at any of these contact points here, and I'm more than happy to speak with you. I'd like to thank you for participating in today's webinar. These are a lot of fun. I actually enjoy these. I have some more coming up fairly soon on things like selecting your niche market, how to sell services, and plus many other topics. You'll get a copy of this recording along with a copy of the slides. But in the meantime, if there's any questions, drop me a line, email me, contact me. More than happy to answer them for you along the way. But thanks again for participating. It's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have a great day.